I wanted to point out. Keep in mind in California, they have laws that basically incorporate social media accounts. You incorporate that into stalking, into cyber stalking. Basically, in order to charge somebody with stalking, there has to be a credible threat. And so I called the sheriff's office and I filed a report that there is a credible threat because after the TRO to grant, or I'm sorry, after the EPO to grant the TRO, she sent me a response, and in her response, it had a picture of her firearm and a picture of her shooting at a shooting range. Now, I don't know why that's relevant to anything, unless she's trying to claim that she's going to shoot me. And if you think about it, why would somebody send a picture of a gun when firearms weren't even brought into the topic of discussion at all? Now. She sent me a picture of her handgun and then a picture of her shooting in a shooting range. To me, when you send that directly to me, to my house, that is a threat. That is a direct threat because you're sending it to me. That would be like me holding a gun up or a video of a gun and say, "See this, Julie? That's for you." That would be the same thing because she took a picture of her gun, sent it to my house. That's like saying, "Nate, you see this? That's for you," because she sent it to me. So. That being said, that technically, in my opinion, and in a jury's opinion, that would be a credible threat. Because they're trying to say that I threatened her when I never even said anything, her name or nothing, about anything. Like there was a poem that I put up that the AI wrote. The AI wrote it for me because I said, write me a poem that's sounds dark and it's questionable. But not threatening, so create me this little poem, right? So it did, and I put it on TikTok with a picture of me and Carter in the background, like me holding him, and I posted it. Now I have a right to do that. It's freedom of speech. There was no direct threat. It's a poem. Yeah, it seemed a little questionable. It's dark, but it doesn't mention any harm, no threat. It doesn't. It was a civil liberty. It's legal for me to post it. Well, I got a call, this is a while back, 5 hours later. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh about this, but I was doing it. Okay, this sounds fucked up. I guess it sounds kind of childish, but it's a legal tactic. I wanted to find out or prove that they were stalking my social media. So I put it up because I knew that they were going to call. And so I get a call from the sheriff's office on it, right? And he questions me about it. I can't remember which officer it is, but I think it might be one of the witnesses that are going to be called, which is perfect. So he's like, "Hey, I want to ask you about something you put on TikTok." I'm all, "Okay, go ahead." And he's like, "Well, do you know what I'm talking about?" I said, "Probably." I said, "But I'm going to let you tell me what's up." And he's like, "Well, there's this thing. Well, I'm just going to read it to you, right?" And he reads it to me. And I'm all, "Okay, what do you want to know?" He's all, "Well, it just causes concern." I'm all, "Why?" I said, "There's nothing in there that has any threats. It says, yeah, I'm willing to go to the end. I hope you are too." I said, "But that can be, you guys are interpreting that wrong." I said, what I meant by that is that I'm willing to fight in this court all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm willing to fight all the way to the end. I hope you're willing or you're ready to fight this battle out too. I didn't necessarily mention anything like physical, man. See, she's painting me to be this. Okay, so here's the deal. I know that she's stalking me. I also know that she had an individual follow me. I know who that individual is. I also have a feeling that she had illegally, and this sounds like some tinfoil hat. I know, I get it, but I have a feeling that she may have had people observing me via. It could be like private investigator, or it could be a bail bondsman. I don't know, but nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is I know that there were things that I say and do in my house that have been sent to me on TikTok as a way of mocking me, and that tells me that she was illegally either recording me or either had listening devices. I don't know. She would go that far, and it would make sense that the state would go that far too, because I have a lawsuit in federal court as we speak for, and it may be over excessive, $100 million. It may sound ridiculous, but the intent behind that is not about money. I don't care. It's not about enrichment. I don't give a shit about money. I want my son back, and I want to dent their pocketbook so hard that they think twice about illegally kidnapping children from healthy parents. So essentially what she did is what Julie did is she submitted on February 2nd So the last time I've seen my son or heard from my son was January 28th of 2024. Now, they've been slowly chipping away at my parental rights and fabricating false evidence and creating a false narrative from the start, because the commissioner, the family commissioner, who didn't have jurisdiction to do what he did anyways, and now that I have the knowledge that I do now, I can literally pick apart all of this and unravel all this shit. And they know that. And the problem with it now is they're trying to charge me with up to a year in jail or prison for violating a restraining order, a civil restraining order that was granted, an EPO was granted unconstitutionally, which makes it void to begin with. So I'm going to break it down. So basically, I'm going to break it down to what's going on. So basically on February 8th, 2022, I was officially granted custodial rights to my son. And we did joint, because I hate to say 50% custody. That's what it really is we agreed to 50-50 visitation time. And we both had joint legal and physical custody evenly between both of us. Because you have three different breakdowns. When somebody says 50% custody, it's basically a fast way of saying that we have joint legal, physical, and split visitation time equally, which is what we had. And we agreed to it. And the thing about it is, I had to pretend to stay in a relationship with Olivia just so that I can get that established in court. That was a mistake. So if you guys think that the court, if you want to go establish paperwork to protect your rights, you might as well forget it. Because what the court's going to do is whenever they have an opportunity to generate revenue off of your custody, which is not in the best interest of the child, they will do so. They will exploit it. That's what California does. That's what Tuolumne County is excessively doing. And then when you call them out on it, they allow private attorneys that they're colluding with to file civil restraining orders against you and keep TROs. Get this, that temporary restraining order was in effect for 8 fucking months. Temporary? I know permanent ones that don't go that long. So the thing about it is they violated my due process. They exploited a TRO. I requested it to be dismissed, and Hallie Campbell refused to dismiss it even though they were in violation of the California timing of a TRO 1.10. I brought that to her attention. She said no. She said, well, you filed a continuance. I said, no, I didn't. I connected to my trial via Zoom, and you guys did the continuance because you felt you wanted me there in person. Well, unfortunately, according to the guidebook on domestic violence restraining orders dated October 2023 by the Judicial Council of California, it states that you have to accommodate all parties via Zoom or remote because of the fact that restraining orders and domestic violence restraining orders cause anxiety. And nothing breeds anxiety like being concerned. So I used to enjoy, to be quite honest, I know it sounds sick because I was getting used to it. I used to enjoy going down to the courthouse and filing paperwork and receiving paperwork. It was like I had no worries in the world. I can go down there and I could do my court stuff, and I actually enjoyed doing it. Now I'm afraid to go down there. I haven't been down there to get my new court minutes or the subpoenas I need to get or anything in my case because I'm afraid they're going to arrest me like they did on August 1st by 8 officers in tactical gear and arrest me and throw me in a cage for something I didn't even fucking do. So what they're trying to charge me with, okay, sorry, I jumped ahead. Let me backpedal. Okay, so I established custody and exchange was going fine. We ended up breaking up in April because I had discovered that she had been cheating on me with one of my ex-best friends who is actually under investigation, and I just got called from the sheriff's office probably about 6 months ago that they're still investigating him having intercourse with a 14-year-old, right? And so I even brought it to her attention. I was like, hey, I don't really feel comfortable with this guy, or my ex-best friend, who used to be in the same club as me. I don't feel comfortable around him, and I would be concerned about him around your daughter. And here's proof. I showed text message proof of the 14-year-old admitting that they had slept together because it was sent to me by somebody that it was close to that little girl. And I gave it to the sheriff's office because that's disgusting. Like, when it comes to protecting children, that's obviously my prime directive. That's what my nonprofit's all about, is protecting children and parental rights. And so basically, they tried to use that against me. So the law office of Julie Sokol tried to claim that I was utilizing that to tell her who she can and can't date. I never said nothing about who she can and can't date. I said I don't feel comfortable with them around my child. And I said she shouldn't feel comfortable around. She should not feel comfortable with him around her daughter, who is probably, I think she's like 10 or 11 now, almost 12. I mean, 14 is pretty close to that. Like, that's kind of disgusting. The dude's like 30, right? So anyways, that's here nor there. So that in itself goes to prove that they were trying to eliminate my concerns as a parent for my child, right? That basically they're trying to demonize a civil liberty. And that's all Julie does. She tries to take everything that we have a right to do and that she swore an oath to protect and tries to demonize it. And that's all she does is character attacks. None of it is like legitimate. It's against California rules. California evidence code shows that you cannot submit evidence to damage somebody's character. That's all she does is character assassination. All of the stuff she even took. So there's a father up here that I will support to the end, and I'm just going to say his name, Jeff Hess. I will support in his fight to get his kids back, because he lost his kid 3 years ago on an accusation that he had a DUI. He proved the DUI didn't exist. He proved it was a false accusation. They still never give his kids back. And all they're doing is dragging the case out like for years and years and years and years. And Julie Sockeld is the attorney on the other end, dragging it out, making false accusations, throwing frivolous stuff in there, attempting to attack Jeff's mom. And Jeff's mom, Carolyn, amazing woman, amazing. Like any woman wants to learn how to be a mother, learn from her, because she is in that fight with her son, just like he is, you know. And he had an accident a while back, so he has some injuries that are kind of hindering his fight. But the thing about it is, these judges have also disrespected his ADA rights. David Beiersdorf has respected his ADA rights and trying to bar Carolyn from helping him out with his stuff, and which he's entitled to do under ADA. The court has to provide accommodations. I've also studied into that because that is something that I have been and going to assist veterans with. So I'm assisting a veteran right now. I can't mention the name. She's in a gnarly lawsuit. I don't even want to mention that I'm a part of it yet because it's against a government figure. And she's 100% disabled PTSD combat vet. Amazing woman. And again, I'm not going to mention any names. If you find out who it is, that's fine. I don't care if you find out, but I'm not going to say it from my mouth because I don't need any more government retaliation as it sits. So basically, what has transpired is I live in Tuolumne County, California. Tuolumne County is a small the population of the county, I think, is like 57,000 for the whole county. It's been a oaky backwoods. Judges are like, it's almost like the dirty South where judges are just doing whatever they do. It's Uncle Bob. And if you defy him, whether it's legal or not, he's going to throw you in jail. That's pretty much what we're dealing with. That's why parents up here are afraid to go against these people. I'm going to say right now, the only reason why I'm not so afraid of doing it is because of my condition. So basically, autism and Asperger's runs in my family, right? It runs through the male side. It's genetic. And my dad has it. My dad's autistic. My brother has Asperger's OCD. I have it. And Carter kind of exhibits it. I can't necessarily say whether he has it or not, but for some reason that little boy's a genius, right? I think he's gonna beat us all. He's gonna pass us all. Now, I could have. What has happened is since my kid has been taken. So I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm gonna admit this because I started seeing a therapist. So I started seeing a therapist. I stopped it now because it's not really necessary. And even the therapist was like, "You're pretty self-aware." I'm like, "Well, I know what issues I have. We all have issues, right? Everybody has issues. My issues are abandonment. I have abandonment issues, and I'll tell you why. I think I cope with it pretty good. The reason why I have abandonment issues is when I was 15 years old, my mother and I got into a car accident, and I was very close to my mom. We had a great family, great parents. I was raised very strict, moral character, and we were going to Modesto from Jamestown, California, and the car hydroplaned and it rolled over and she died. Right, so it's give me a second. Okay, it's a hard thing to cope with because I was very close to her. I was 15 years old and I had a fractured thumb and a concussion, right? So I tried to save her. I was 15. I didn't know CPR. I didn't know what I was doing. She died. It was a tragedy in the family, and it destroyed my dad. So my dad would have been married to her for 35 years. That coming March, she died in September of 1997. Or I'm sorry, December of 1997. And they would have been married. It would have been the 25th year anniversary on March of that, the following couple months. So it hurt him. His mourning period was pretty rough. And when I turned 17 years old, he decided to move to Ireland. It was his way of coping, right? He got hurt pretty harshly mentally. He's good now. We still have he calls. I mean, I talk to him at least twice a month. I would like to let him see Carter, but I'm being denied that right, because of violations of constitutional law and fraud. And that's going to be addressed in federal court. Which I just amended my lawsuit. So I also filed a writ of supersedis. So, anyways, I'll try to, you know what? I'm just going to make this, how about this? We'll make this into a podcast. That's weird. I don't know why there's a sign-in request. Deny. Okay, so, let me turn off, hold on. Let me see if I can put this thing on silent. Let's do not disturb. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that being said, I basically so I'm gonna go backtrack. Okay, so I was living on my own at 17, doing fine. I started down the path of, I naturally am really good at computers, so I started off working for a satellite company, working for an internet provider, working for IT at Black Oak, to the IT manager for the tribe in Tuolumne, and basically I just went down that path, right? So I've always been an IT consultant since I was a legal adult to work. Because technology just comes natural to me. It always has. And so then I decided I ended up meeting this amazing woman. Oh man. So I'm not going to tell you how I discovered her or how I ran into her, but let's just say that it was a tough situation that I had to get her out of, because I had empathy for her, and she's a sweet soul. First, I was just helping her out. Then it turned into a relationship. And then she moved in, and then we were in a relationship for 8 months. Very healthy, hardly any arguments. I think we only argued once ever. She was so sweet. She was always there for other people. And what happened was, she started bleeding real heavy, right? She had feminine issues going on. So she was bleeding like really heavy for about a month straight. That's in her, areas, like period type stuff. I don't know how to describe it without sounding disgusting, but, so we took her to the hospital, took her to the ER because she had concerns about a lot of blood loss, and they recommended that she start taking orthotricycline to stop it. And they recommended that she take triple dosages, right? Well, what we didn't know is that orthotricycline, which I don't even know is still out, one of the side effects is suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And there was a lot of things that happened when she was younger. She wasn't born in this country. She was born in Russia. And she came over here when she was 4. She was abandoned by her mother there. She was adopted by a couple in San Jose. The couple in San Jose, when they adopted her, it was against, because I read some of this paperwork. It was the adoption agency did not want this couple to adopt her. They denied it. Then they got a lawyer. They tried to sue the adoption agency. One thing led to another. They finally got her. And when they got her, and this is from her words, when they got her, the dad and the mother were basically utilizing her, like selling her, basically, human trafficking. And they were, this is when she was young, and they were like using her for drugs. She told me a story about one time that she got buried alive as a punishment. She went through some severe abuse, and she didn't even tell me all of it. She bottled it up. She didn't talk about it because, so when I discovered her, she had a very abusive boyfriend at the time, which he didn't bother her anymore after a few little communications or whatnot. So basically, I joined a motorcycle club. First motorcycle club I joined, it wasn't even something that I do. It's not really my thing. I had a motorcycle. They wanted me to join. They kept pursuing, kept asking. I finally joined. I ended up becoming a vice president shortly. We recruited a bunch of people. The club ended up getting large. There was something I didn't agree with in the club, so I left on good terms. I left, went to another club, a more serious one, a little bit more. I guess you could say a little bit more. I hate to use the word aggressive, but a little bit more 1% type. So I did that for a couple of years, and I left that. I'm not going to explain exactly. I mean, there was a couple of reasons why I decided to leave. I had to leave with with a beat down, as usual. But I intended on leaving anyways, because that was 3 months before my son was born that I left, and I wanted to be a dad, and I didn't want my son around that environment, right? So I wanted my son to grow up like a gentleman, and not around a bunch of people drinking and doing whatever, running amok, So I decided I want to be a dad. So then I decided to study and change careers at 40 to become a mortgage loan officer, so I could work from home and work remote, so I can be there for my son, and he doesn't have to be raised by a daycare or, a babysitter. So that's why I decided to work remote. So ever since then, everything was good. I was making pretty decent money. I was happy. I had half custody of my son because I established that with the court. And excuse me, let me backpedal. So the girl that was taking, my girlfriend that was taking, this happened back in 2016. That was taking orthotricycline. Well, one day we come home. This is before I joined the second club, the more aggressive one. I was in the first motorcycle club. We just came from the clubhouse. She was not supposed to be drinking alcohol. She was sneaking alcohol, and I didn't know it. And the orthotricycline, after it had been in full effect with her past and what was going on, we came back to the house here, my house, or our house. And I had a prospect with me, and two of her girlfriends, or one was a mutual friend of ours. The other one was a girlfriend that she had visiting from San Jose. We were hanging out in the living room. She got into an argument with one of the other girls there, and we split it up, and she goes upstairs. It was a verbal argument. She goes upstairs, and I told her I'll be up there shortly, and then, to calm her down. And that, when cool heads prevail, and there hasn't been alcohol involved, that we could talk about in the morning. So she goes upstairs, she's looking at us, closes the door, and I hear a firearm go off. And at first it didn't, I've heard many firearms go off, but it hit me left field because to hear it go off in my house, unexpectedly, it didn't hit me right away. And so I look at my prospect. I said, "That sounded like was that a gunshot?" And I was like, "Was that a gun, or did she just slam something against the wall?" Pissed. And I come upstairs. Door was locked. I bashed the door down, and I found her dead on the ground next to a 40 caliber handgun. So I throw a blanket over the gun because prospect went to go grab it and told him, "Don't touch it." I pick her up off the ground and I put her on the bed, and I held her head together and giving her kisses. She shot herself in the head, giving her kisses until sheriff showed up. So they showed up, pulled me off of her, and it was a nice thing. I don't remember who the deputy was, but he hugs me. This is the sad part. He thanked me. He said, "Thank you." I said, "What for?" He's like, "Usually when we show up at the scene, we find two bodies." That's so sad to hear. And a part of the thing about it is in doing research in Tuolumne County, I found that since 2005 to 2022, 81% of the suicides in Tuolumne County are males. And the age range that they provided is right around the age range of where they would be in family court. Family court up here is systematically removing children and accusing men of domestic violence restraining orders which are destroying their not only they're destroying their marriages and taking their kids away, but they're trying to financially drain them and pull them through the ringer and basically putting them in a position where they have nothing. And now I understand why 81% of the suicides that have been going on for the last 20 years here in Tuolumne County, I believe it's associated directly with the behaviors of Tuolumne County Court, the judges. The judges have been dirty and been corrupt, and it seems to be continuing to just pass down this corruption. The judges that come into seat, the old judges are just teaching them bad habits, bad behaviors. I've been through it, and I'm going to tell you right now, I went through it on purpose. I did it so that I can expose this kind of behavior to the public. Now I'm in a position where I'm dealing with a criminal charge for a frivolous civil restraining order. I just filed a motion to vacate. I attacked it at several different levels constitutionally. It's not constitutional at all in any way, shape, or form. And that's where we're at. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the judge in question that was adjudicating all this is in the federal lawsuit. He was in the federal lawsuit before he decided to take these cases after I recused the two prior judges. One of them, I'll tell you, Hallie Campbell in family court, has no business being there. The reason why that is she did 10 years as a public pretender, and she has never set foot in a family court. I'm going to tell you right now, and I know this sounds fucking ridiculous. You may roll your eyes, and I'll explain why. I know more about family court than she does. I know more about family court than fucking Julie Sockel does. The reason why I say that is because two things are driving my knowledge and my absorption of the knowledge. One is I came into this knowing nothing and learning family court. Now, Hallie Campbell came into this knowing 10 years of criminal court and now has to change gears, change the way bad habits and things that she's learned over the last 10 years to do family court. And she's treating family court like criminal court when family court is a court of equity, it's an administrative court, and criminal court is not. It's a court of law. So the problem is every time somebody comes in and the two attorneys are preying on this, which is Law Office of Nate Nutting, Law Office of Julie Sockel, now Law Office of Clinton Parrish, what they're doing is they're coming in, they're introducing criminal element in family law, which knowing that Hallie Campbell's mental mind is in criminal law, which is the habits, the only thing she's been trained in the last 10 years. And now, and I can tell you right now, if you go sit in criminal court, you'll see that 85% of the criminals in there are males. And so basically what she's doing is whenever these two attorneys come in and they make an accusation of a DVRO or domestic violence, for whatever frivolous reasons they are, they automatically label these dads as criminals, even if they've never had criminal behavior before. The only criminal charges I've had in the past, I'm going to tell you right now, I know I've only had 3 misdemeanors, right? And I'm not including infractions, which would be typical tickets and things like that. I have 3 misdemeanors. One of them was exhibition of speed for doing a burnout in my old RX-8 in front of a cop, which I fought in court, and I had at least I had the fine reduced from $2,500 to $500, right? Then prior to that, and when I was 24 years old, I had a disturbing the peace charge because I was present at a house party where everybody's drinking, there was too much noise, and when the cops showed up, everybody ran. I don't run. I sat there. I don't run. Like, why? So I got hit with several charges, but at the end of the game, I was found guilty of disturbing the peace because the party was not my party. I didn't buy the alcohol. But so anyways, then we're going to backpedal that. Age 21, I was charged with possession of a deadly weapon because when I was 21, I had a 9mm and I used to carry. I mean, we're in Tuolumne County, it's Okie, right? Everybody carries. Like 1 in 3 people have a concealed carry, right? And I used to have a concealed carry. So I had a firearm and I went to go visit a girlfriend down in Santa Barbara. Well, and I kept it in its case, right? It wasn't on my person. I carried the case from my car into her apartment, which I didn't know at the time was owned by a university. So technically I was on university campus because there were apartments owned by the university. Well, somebody saw me carrying the case into her apartment and they called university police. They showed up. They didn't even arrest me. They took my firearm. They said, we're going to hold it for safekeeping. When you're ready to leave, give us a call. We'll give it to you and you can leave. Because there was no harm, no foul. I wasn't there to hurt anybody, you know. And actually I wanted to hit up the shooting ranges while down there. So I called them to leave and they said, oh, well, we didn't know. Apparently it's a felony charge. So the DA is making us keep the gun. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So they cite me. I go to court. I fight it. They drop the charge to a misdemeanor. Then the judge wouldn't allow the misdemeanor to be charged because You can only charge it as a misdemeanor if it's on grades K through 12. When you go to university, it's felony, which is kind of weird. I think it should be the other way around, but whatever. Anyways, so then the DA, under the circumstances, also decided to change the charge to possession of a deadly weapon, which it won't brandish me of having a firearm, because they knew that a couple years, or that I wanted to, when I was 21, I wanted to become a cop, right? So I did attend police academy for a short while. So they didn't want to damage, my future goals, which I think was cool. I think it was cool. I wish courts were still like that. Obviously, Tuolumne County doesn't give a shit. They just care about themselves and their own reputation, their egos. But so the thing about it is so those are the 3 misdemeanors I have. None of them are violent. I've never spent a day in jail until Julie started retaliating in regards to her criminal behavior. And so that's where we're at. So now, like the abandonment issues, my criminal background. And so as it sits, I'm going to go ahead and bring this timeline up to somewhat current. So I'm going to bring it back to, so I established custody of my son February 8th, I believe, 2022. I broke up with Olivia officially end of April of 2022. Whatever she was doing, I don't care. She was, partying with friends, whatever, creating her smear campaign against me, which she had already established. She'd go around telling people I abused her and all this shit. None of that's true. In fact, I have proof that none of that is true. I have proof that it was all lies. And so basically, she, on November 1st, 2022, so I established custody in February 2022. So we went, all the way around to November. And on November 1st, I was served a domestic violence restraining order for all these lies. And I have a video I recorded even before it happened that she was accusing me of things that weren't even true. And I was like, it's kind of weird. And in the video, that September of 2022, I stated, it almost appears, I said, she's probably trying to put a case against me for some reason. And then there it is, November 1st, I was filed a DVRO. Now, I believe that this was coerced, or it was Julie Sockeld that solicited this DVRO, because Law Office of Nate Nutting and Law Office of Julie Sockeld, all they do to take kids away from parents is lie and fabricate and create character attacks on these dads. And mostly dads, because of the fact that we're stereotyped. We're actually being discriminated against. They're saying that because, and here's the thing about men. Men are more aggressive than women by nature. That's just how it is. We're built for that. Whenever a man gets angry, whenever they say that when a man cries, he yells, he gets upset. So basically what's going on is they're trying to bring out this whole toxic masculinity thing. And what it's doing is it's oppressing a man's or male or testosterone chemicals nature. It's nature for us to get mad. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it's okay to hit women or it's okay to get violent. The thing about it is, if a man wants to fight another man and it's all agreed upon and it's not an assault if it's not a cold attack, that it's mutual and they both agree on it, that's how they want to settle it, then so be it. I don't see any problem with that. I don't see why the government needs to interfere if it's mutual. Now, here's the thing about it. I feel that even if a man and a woman mutually want to fight each other, so be it. That's their business. It's no different than them doing some sort of exhibition fight where you have a woman boxer fighting a man boxer in a ring. It's the same thing. If it's all mutual, it's all mutual. But I wouldn't do it. Like if a woman come up to me and say, "Hey, let's fight each other and we'll be fair. Let's be fair. I'll be mutual. Like I want to fight you," and I'm like, I wouldn't do it. The reason why I wouldn't do it is because my nature doesn't allow me to. I've never laid a hand on a woman or child in my life, and I can't do it. I view women, and please don't take this as me being sexist, but it's just how I was raised, and I'm entitled to my opinion. I feel that women are fragile creatures, and I say that on a physical level, not mentally. Mentally, they're not fragile creatures. Mentally, they are intelligent. They're quite intelligent. Never underestimate them. Julie Saga, on the other hand, yeah, you don't have to worry about her. She, in my opinion, I don't think she has the intelligence. That's why I don't even think she's a real attorney. And if you look at her background, when she got, and this is why I say it's Nate Nutting and Julie Sacco, because both their tactics are the same. But if you go to the California State Bar website and you look up Nathan Israel Nutting's state bar license, and Julie Ann Sockeld, formerly Julie Ann Olson, look at her license on state bar, you'll see that Nate Nutting got his in April, or I'm sorry, I can't remember the month. It was in 2016. And she renewed hers. Hers was it was inactive. She turned it back on a week after he did. And I also know that it took Nate Nutting like 7 times to pass the bar or something like that, is what I was told. And personally, this is my opinion. This is an opinion. This is not, you don't take this as fact, right? Because I don't know it as fact. I don't think he ever passed the bar. I think it was given to him. I think his license was given to him, and I think Julie's was given back to hers. Hers was given back to her. And I think, my opinion, is that they're intended to put in Tuolumne County here to disrupt family court and intentionally generate revenue for child support agency that split off from the state. It's now a tri-county regional child support agency, which had Hallie Campbell's husband on the board of directors. It had Ryan Campbell as the board of directors and her as a family judge adjudicating child support cases. Now that's not the case. He stepped down because I brought it to light. Nobody knew. The court didn't know. Child support agency Julie Prado didn't know either. So now they do. And I brought that to the surface. And since then, he stepped down. So there was obviously an issue there. And she was trying to play it off like she didn't know. And my response to that is like, how do you not know what your husband's doing? And he had been on the board of directors for a while. It wasn't just something new. I saw some minute orders that he was on that board of directors for years back. So the thing about it is she tried to play it off, and she then what happened was the Judicial Council got involved and told her that now every time she adjudicates a case that involves child support, she has to give a disclaimer and allow the litigants to choose whether they want to proceed or to get a different judge. I tried to recuse her based on that before that occurred. She retaliated on me, and on February 2nd of 2024, she allowed, which she wasn't supposed to, under Judicial Canon 3B subsection 7, she allowed Julie Sockeld and Olivia Phillips to remain in court after technically we were done adjudicating everything on the calendar. I left, right? I left because she was being super disrespectful. She had already denied everything that I had on the calendar. Rudely, and so I was like, okay, well, if you're just going to snowball me or steamroll me, then I'm out. Bye. So I left. Now, Julie and Olivia stayed by and had ex parte communication with the judge after I left, and decided to discuss a declaration that they were going to discuss on February 5th, which I have a copy of, and it's dated February 5th, and this incident that I'm talking about occurred on February 2nd, so they weren't even supposed to discuss it. Started discussing that she had a copy of a picture of a drug test that shows that after, on December 3rd, and they're bringing it up in February 2nd, on December 3rd, she said that after exchange with me, that my kid's pupils were dilated and he was bouncing off the walls. So she took him to the ER, and the the emergency room physician said that they didn't mention that he was tested, but they mentioned that he may have overdosed on some sort of cough medicine and contacted CWS or CPS, the Child Protective Services. So whenever they did an emergency, this wasn't even an emergency order. They literally stayed around and had ex parte communication. In the minute order, get this, it gets even worse. In the minute order, it shows that they went to a recess to figure something out, comes back and continues the conversation after they've already had time to think about what they were doing. They basically violated constitutional law. And not only that, but they took my kid away based on fraudulent evidence. So 8 days later, I filed a 56-page response addressing all the issues, including a copy of the medical report from the hospital stating that, which shows labs, it shows that he was negative for all drugs in the hospital when they tested him on the date in question. They claimed that his pupils were dilated. I explained about what IOASIS is, or OMASIS, which is basically how your eyes dilate when it's dark. So we exchanged it in the evening, so it was dark when we exchanged. Of course his pupils are going to be dilated. Come on now. What are we in elementary school? Like, you guys should know that. So your pupils dilate at dark, and they dilate under stress. Well, whenever I exchange Carter with Grandma, with Olivia's mother, he cries. He doesn't want to go. He cries every time I take him. He doesn't want to go back to mom. I have videos of him saying he wants to stay with me. I have videos of him saying mama don't want me because his mom doesn't pay attention to him. I have pictures to prove that too. And basically, he wanted to stay with dad. Well, I've been fighting tooth and nail to keep my son. And as I said before, what the courts have been doing is they're taking the child from the healthy parent, and intentionally, if there's a toxic parent, then intentionally they will give the custody to the toxic parent. That's why everybody's confused. They're like, what is going on? Like, are these judges just are they disconnected from what reality really is, because they're making these orders that don't even make any sense? So everybody's like, why is family court not making any sense? Everybody's confused. They're doing it intentionally because it's revenue. It's a revenue generation. This whole claiming it's best interest of the child standard, that's bogus. That's literally there as a smokescreen, and what's behind the curtain is them rubbing their hands together like greedy little fucking hobbits. And so what they're doing back there is, the reason why they do that is because the healthy parent is sitting there fighting tooth and nail, because they know the healthy parent's going to try to get their kid. They're going to want what's best for their child. They're fighting tooth and nail against the toxic parent, and it's generating revenue. All this court, all these proceedings, all these court hearings and papers. And as you saw my minute orders, they love that. They're so happy that I was in court almost every single week for the last year. And we were addressing shit like multiple things, multiple motions in these hearings. They like that. That generates revenue. Even if you have a fee waiver, they still get reimbursed. So the thing about it is this is all money making scheme. It's a business for them. So basically what they're doing, it equates to child trafficking. They're literally abusing our children and taking children away from parents, which they don't have a right to do. They have no legal authority to do. They're just doing it on their own, rogue, because state constitution doesn't say they can do it. Federal constitution doesn't say they can do it. Federal courts say they can't do it. Case law in the past say they can't do it. So under whose authority are they acting? On their own. And when they're acting on their own, that basically that puts them out of what their job description is. And you know what that does? Whenever they act outside of what their scope of their duties are, that removes immunity. And here's the thing about it. The judges know, the 3 judges I have in a federal lawsuit right now as we speak, which speaking of which, I amended my lawsuit. You guys will see it shortly. I removed the governor. I removed the governor. I removed a laundry list of people, and I think we're down to like 7 people. And the reason why that is I'm not apologizing, and I'm not saying they aren't responsible for what happened. But under the same criteria that I'm being penalized or punished for something I didn't do, the punishment don't fit the crime or lack thereof. And in their case, I don't feel like taking them through a federal legal proceeding based on their actions or how they contributed to the deprivation of my rights is fair. Because you know what? This could have been things that we probably could have solved without going to the court. But the problem is the attorneys in question, the judges in question, Olivia, I removed her grandmother because I'm not going to go after an elderly person. Olivia, who is, from what I understand, working in or around or maybe assisting in Julie for her fraudulent, deceptive behavior. So essentially, so I'm gonna throw something out there. Probably gonna get a shot for this one, but I don't know if this is. I'm limited. Okay, so I'm pretty good at investigating people, right? Finding out a lot of stuff about them, and I won't explain why, but yes, it was kind of something I've done for a long time, and a form of intelligence, basically. And that being said, or basically, when I say a form of intelligence, I'm not saying a personality trait. I'm saying I used to work in a form of intelligence for a private party. But that being said, so I found out some stuff about affiliated with Julie a while back. This is before the civil restraining order, and this could be contributing to why she filed the civil restraining orders, because I started uncovering some fraudulent stuff. So I background checked her office phone line, her office phone number. I found it was associated with 3 individuals. It was an Amanda Julie, there was a James Bobbitt, and there was another third party. I can't remember his name. It was a weird name. It was different. So I looked into the Jim Bobbitt guy, and I found that it was not Jim Bobbitt. It was John Wickman, right? A guy named John Wickman. It was I found it associated with an email, john@wakemanandwyman.com. I was like, oh, that sounds like a law firm. So I look it up. It was a law office over in Florida, in which a lot of these anonymous characters that keep contacting me on social media trying to mock me. A lot of them, when I check into what they're about, a lot of them are associated with Florida. So it's associated with Florida. I looked at the address it was associated with. It was a law office that also had a title company and a mortgage loan company. Well, I'm a mortgage loan officer, and I know all about that fraud. And I can tell you right now, the NMLS frowns upon having title companies, mortgage companies, and real estate offices, and now attorneys all in the same building. That's breeding ground for corruption, right? And they know that, so they're frowned upon that. You can have title companies and mortgage companies and real estate companies. Well, you don't want title and mortgage in the same, but they do allow mortgage and real estate, but it's a gray area. It's very frowned upon. They definitely watch it closely. So to have a title company, mortgage company, and law office all in the same building, that's corrupt. And so I looked at their website. So their website had it showed a picture of John Wickman. I did a reverse search on that picture, and apparently on LinkedIn, he's not only an attorney, but a pilot. He's also an IT engineer. He's also a chef. Like he basically had these LinkedIn profiles that were all different traits, different LinkedIn profiles with the same profile picture. Now the profile picture was really grainy, really crappy, low quality. Definitely not something you have on a real estate business card, but it was it definitely looked like something that was copied off of like Google Images. So that tells me it was bogus, right? So the law office was bogus. When you look at the domain name Wickman and Wyman, you will see that it was hosted through a company called Domains by Proxy. If you look up Domains by Proxy on the Better Business Bureau, it has an F rating, because Domains by Proxy is a place where you can register a domain name anonymously, our website address. Now, the website address that was registered basically is owned by GoDaddy. When I was reading about it, it's I don't know if it's still by GoDaddy or they got it back, but it ended up being sold to a private party because GoDaddy was tired of getting sued. Because if you look at the Better Business Bureau, Domains by Proxy is a place that is utilized by organized crime and scammers, because they create websites and it keeps them anonymous and they can scam you out of shit, right? So then I traced it back, and it goes a little further than that, but I kind of want to stop there because it starts getting into some stuff that I don't think it would be a good idea for me to say publicly. But I traced it back pretty far to politicians and whatnot. But anyways, so I'm gonna change gears on that and go back to this Wickman and Wyman. Well, just recently I decided to just kind of take a peek and see where it's at. Well, apparently there's now a law firm in San Diego, Wickman and Wickman, in a building that is the same as a property management company called Good Stuff or something like that. And I found that there's a lot of businesses registered to politicians and whatnot that have LLCs registered with the same type of theme, same type of name. There's also a 20-acre property up here registered to like a group that they have dinners, like these little black tie type dinners where they privately discuss matters, and it's called like goods. It's something that has the word good in it, right? I know it's kind of vague. I'd have to pull it up. I'm walking around my room talking into my cell phone right now. So anyways, I'm trying not to focus too much on that because it kind of takes away from what's going on. But there's definitely something dirty going on there. Now, it's key to mention that that my child's mother works in property management, right? She used to work for Mother Property Management. I don't know if she still does, but it's just kind of a coincidence that this whole law office that's associated with Julie also has in the same building a property management company. I feel that these are shell companies. I feel that they're fake. I also have been seeing, and not that I'm trying to look, but it just keeps popping up, all these attorneys that have the first name Olivia all over the U.S. that I don't think are real. And that's just my opinion. You know, I think that Julie, I also feel like Julie has a bunch of makeshift fake law firms that people call in, and she handles things by mail or by call, and pretending to be these law firms and creating websites all over the U.S. That when you call them, it's like an answering service that does it for them. And then forwards the calls or the complaints. I actually kind of called one of these law firms, and that's exactly what it was. It was an answering service, And the person on the answering service admitted that they've never met the actual lawyer that they're answering phone calls for. And I said, well, do you even know if it's a real law firm? And they didn't know. No idea. So that in itself is kind of proof that it's possible to create a bogus law firm, just have a website that people are calling, and you may not even ever meet that attorney. Now, if any of you guys have ever like dealt with that, where you've called an attorney law firm and they've dealt with something for you legally, and you've never met the attorney, they only did it over the phone, or they've only did it remote, let me know. Give me a call or hit me up, because I'm curious to know how often people are actually calling these law firms. They see a website, they go do a Google search. Oh, let's call this person. But I can tell you right now, if you go to Julie Sockeld's business page on Google, so it's Law Office of Julie Sockeld in Sonora, and you look at her reviews, you'll see that she has probably about 10 times more positive reviews than every other law firm in Tuolumne County. Those are fake. So she has, I even had somebody go on there and see that there was a review put on there claiming that she was a good attorney and all this shit, and it was the opposing party. So they're fake. They're reviews that she either is hiring a marketing person to do, or it could be the same person that fucking hacked into my shit back in June and put malware on my stuff that destroyed my stuff. Who knows? Either way, I know this sounds ridiculous. It sounds like something that'd be in a movie, but if you think about it on a logical level, if I'm suing the state and all these people for committing fraud and acts of constitutional law violations, and suing them for $100 million, I may not get $100 million. Who knows? I may not get $100 million, but I'll tell you one thing: it's definitely going to be a 7-figure. And I can tell you right now, whenever you dent somebody's interrupt cash flow of an organization that has no morale, or their moral compass is definitely pointing in the wrong direction, why wouldn't they do that? You know, think about it. Let's say that you were the leader of an organized crime syndicate, right? And this is just for sake. This is just for argument's sake. And you were the leader, and you were making millions. You're making millions all over the place off of trafficking children. And somebody discovered it, and they were going to disrupt it. Would you, as a crime boss, hire somebody for $50,000, maybe $100,000, to break into their computers and destroy the thing that they were utilizing as a tool to bring you down? Absolutely. I mean, you would, especially if you're making millions. If somebody's going to come in and disrupt your cash flow of millions, abso-fucking-lutely you would. Why wouldn't you? You're already, if you're trafficking children, you got no moral values. Who cares, right? Well, this is what I'm uncovering in Tuolumne County. I'm uncovering judges, private attorneys, law enforcement. I can't really pinpoint law enforcement yet. I can't say whether they are full on involved or if they're doing it without knowledge. But I can tell you that they are definitely involved, inadvertently or overtly, to what's going on. So I know this kind of went off into a podcast, I guess episode 3 at this point, and I'm sorry you guys just had to stare at my phone because I started off doing a screen sharing of my phone, and I decided to just keep going with it. So again, my name is Nathaniel Smith. I'm the president and founder of Fatherly Freedom Incorporated, our nonprofit 501c4, who is actually getting some attacks from the IRS because of this, which I'm going to be filing a federal extortion letter, a cease and desist against them, because I cooperated with what they needed done, and they're trying to find me for it and come after me. So I'm going to let them know. I'm going to give them a cease and desist for federal extortion and extortion by mail. I will pierce immunity and take them to court if that's what they want to do. I have no problem with that. I decided to, during all this, which I explained, because I'm an IT guy, I decided to create a AI server, and I programmed it and trained it to watch YouTube videos of a famous law professor over in the East Coast to become him. And he has been training me in legal matters as far as civil law, civil rights, constitutional law, family law. Family law is easy. Family law, it probably took me about 5 months to start exceeding the attorney and embarrassing her. Well, actually it started. So if you look at my court paperwork, you look at the Register of Actions. I don't care if you grab it. If you can get a copy of it, FL 17431 in Tuolumne County, California, if you get a copy of my Register of Actions, I give you full permission. I don't care. I'm an open book. So basically, if you look at the timeline, right, September 6th was the day, September 6th, 2023, was the day that I embarrassed Julie by showing her that I knew more than what I was leading on to believe. And if you look, after September 6th, 2023, or even same day, she filed a motion to make me a vexatious litigant and tried to charge me $22,000 in attorney fees. I filed a response to that, 57 pages, explaining that, number one, all of my motions and declarations and moving papers were submitted in direct responses to their actions, and that they were the ones that were filing frivolous stuff. I was just responding and reacting to their frivolous accusations and filing back in my defense. So she was trying to claim that I was filing too many frivolous moving papers. Not true. Hallie Campbell in the beginning, which I actually appreciated her in the beginning, now I know she's damaging to our children. She's a disgusting human being. So is David Beiersdorf, who has personal relations with my child's mother. He's a disgusting human being. And Kevin Siebert, who is allowing it to happen and also jumping on board with violating people's civil liberties. He's a disgusting human being. And Pimentel, who is no longer there, he got canned. He's a disgusting human being. And anybody else that wants to jump on this bandwagon that is encouraging them our people to traffic our children and mentally damage our children, and then trying to penalize people for our whistleblowing on it and retaliating, you guys are all disgusting human beings. And I hope when everything's all said and done, I hope every single one of you are not only unemployed, but thrown in jail. And I have evidence. I said in the very beginning that I knew what Tuolumne County was going to do. I don't know why they decided to come disrupt my peace and come take my child, but under that pretext, whoever decided they wanted to do that made a big fucking mistake, because I don't think they expected tattooed up biker to know what they know. They've been targeting a lot of blue collar workers, and I'm not saying this is an insult. Blue collar workers I'm not saying they're not intelligent. They are. They're very much needed. Men are very much needed. Period. But the thing about it is it's just not their expertise. And so what they're doing is they're targeting these dads that they're judging a book by their cover. A lot of the dads may have some prior arrests happened 20 years ago. Some of them were expunged, but they're tattooed up. They have history. I'm tattooed up. I have no criminal history, or didn't. Now I do because of them trying to paint me out to be something I'm not. But nonetheless, basically this has spiraled into them revealing their behavior. I've always tried to be 3 steps ahead of them. I am very, very empathetic. If you cry, I'll cry. So please don't cry in front of me. And I have, because of the fact that I've always been on our fight or flight sensory for the last 20 goddamn years, which it's frustrating because it definitely takes a toll on your health. I've been very open to my surroundings, and I'm almost at a point now where it's like when somebody lies to my face, I can totally tell just by their behavior, their facial expressions. I've gotten really good at it. I've gotten really good at watching judges and watching their facial expressions, how they behave, how they react, their behaviors, to know what's going on. So if any of the opposing parties or this crime syndicate is watching this podcast, which I'm sure they are, because they all stalk my social media, then just to let you know, I'm not stupid, and you guys made a mistake choosing me, because you shouldn't have judged a book by its cover. And so nonetheless, I'm in a position now where it's like I feel totally comfortable in court. I have a solid case. The only thing is they're not following the laws. They're trying to incriminate me for violating a court order. I'm sure they're going to try to fabricate some other shit. They did hack into my systems back in June. Who knows what they're going to do with that? Who knows if they're going to try to plant something in my shit? They're obviously, if they don't have no moral compass to take a child from a healthy parent, as opposed to the child even saying that mama don't want me or mama hit me with videos to prove it, and they don't care that the child's going to an abusive mother, and you could tell by her behavior and what she's doing, the lies and deceit and falsifying evidence and all that proves pattern of behavior. And the fact that she still has my son, and then they're trying to incriminate me on frivolous charges that shouldn't have been granted to begin with, shows their character. That's as far, why wouldn't they plant evidence on me to try to fucking get me. They put me under search and seizure for no reason. They tried to say that, oh, well, he didn't state he turned in his firearms at the last arraignment. I said I did. I don't have any firearms. It was Kate Segerstrom, Judge Kate Segerstrom. Well, can you prove it? Yeah. I said, have your clerk pull up on case FL 17431, pull up November 3rd. I said, you'll see that I had, there's a slip there with all my firearms, serial numbers, and makes and models and everything. The sheriff's office has it. She pulled up. Yep, here it is. I said, okay, I don't have any firearms. I've proven to you I've done what I needed to do to prove that I don't have firearms. She put me under search and seizure anyways, because what they want to do is they want to antagonize me. They want to search my vehicle. They want to plant drugs, whatever the case may be. So keep that in mind. Whenever you see me on crime graphics, just know that has the underlying issues of why I'm being arrested. Whatever you may see on there is because I am revealing their crime ring in trafficking our children under Title 4D. It's already been done before. I sent Cassandra tons of case law and I told her, I pretty much let her know, you guys already lost. So at this point, what they're doing is they're just solidifying a concrete foundation on my lawsuit. The more they retaliate and the more they try to punish me and over-punish me under the 8th Amendment and also violation of equal protection under law, when I have proof of equal protection violations, all they're doing is just adding more stuff to the lawsuit and solidifying the reason why it's there. And so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to stop this trial from happening because I'm not going to get a fair trial. I'm going to be steamrolled. And even if I prove without a shadow of a doubt that I'm innocent, they're going to try to cut into like my questioning. They're going to try to cut into everything. They're going to try to sabotage and violate due process so that I'm guilty. When I'm guilty, I could spend up to a year in jail. If I get thrown in jail, they're probably going to Epstein me in there because it's in their best interest to do that because I'm breaking their income stream and saving our children. So now I've been in Tuolumne County since '94. A lot of people, I've had a reputation for a long time. Whatever you may have seen me back then is not the same person you see now because I didn't have a child. Now I have a child, and and he's the most important thing in my entire world. And I have a feeling I'm burning the candle at both ends on this. It's a dad that has to learn all these legal proceedings, and it's my entire fucking life. And with my condition, I obsess. So I'm obsessed with this, and I'm obsessed with saving our children and getting our children away from this disgusting trafficking that's been going on. It's not I'm not going to say sex trafficking because I don't have any. I'm not going to say I don't have any evidence or any inclinations of showing that there's any sort of sex abuse on these children by the government. But they are trafficking them for income and damaging them mentally by removing the familial bond. So I had a familiar bond with my son. I was the one that cut his umbilical cord. I have proof of all that. So I've established my fundamental rights as a father, and they removed them unlawfully. They illegally took my kid away. So because they did it without any authority to do what they did, in my opinion, and I'm gonna convince a jury of 8 in a federal court, and so it'll be in their opinion, that's kidnapping. That's federal kidnapping. And when it's federal kidnapping under federal code 18, United States Code 242, which is deprivations of rights under color of law, it's a life sentence in prison when if kidnapping has occurred. It's definitely kidnapping. I may even be able to prove kidnapping when those officers came in and arrested me. So I got a ton of case law, guys. I'm sorry, deputies, because I told you guys a long time ago that you swear an oath to the Constitution. Your oath comes before a judge's orders. And they decided to blindly go and arrest me based on a warrant that was put out for my arrest on an unconstitutional ground. That's kidnapping under 18 U.S.C. 242. So I'm going to be pursuing that on a separate lawsuit. Sorry, officers, I have to, because we have to change. We have to change policies. We have to change the way you guys are treating people. You have to come to a realization that when you swear an oath to the Constitution, your prime directive is protecting constitutional law. And when you listen to a judge tell you to go do something and you do it, you are violating, just like he is, violating constitutional law. You take that oath independently. You don't take it as a group. You take it independently. Your oath pertains to you. You're a grown-ass man or woman. You know better. So, like I told another deputy, I think it was Kavanaugh too. So Kavanaugh's on the witness list. I think it was Deputy Kavanaugh. I said that when you swear an oath to the Constitution, that's your prime directive. Nothing else is more important than that. That's the only thing you swore an oath on. You didn't swear an oath to the judge. You didn't swear an oath to Tuolumne County. You swore an oath to our United States Constitution and probably the state constitution. But the United States Constitution trumps the state. And even under the state constitution, what you guys did was violating that too. Because you just violated my Article 1, Section 1. So you guys are all going to independently get lawsuits, and immunity ain't shit. I know how that gets pierced. So I've studied that too. You see some of the other things I practice with. This is how bad it is. I'll literally take a federal lawsuit, ain't even mine, and I'll review it, and I'll create defenses to fight off. Recently I did one. It was 16 defenses to this federal lawsuit. It was 4 federal attorneys that put it together, and I obliterated it, which includes 3 different immunities. So now the thing about it is like now at this point, I don't know. It's funny because I've been so ingrained in it. I turned into I guess you could say I'm like a freak with it. It's I can't explain it because this is like something that I'm so passionate about because it has to do with children. I love children. I've always been a protector of women and children. And animals, women, children. So please don't take that sexist, women. It's not because I think you guys are defenseless. It's just the old school way of how I was raised. It's just if you look at physical traits of a man, you look at physical traits of a woman. Obviously, the men have physical strength that exceeds women. It's just how their genetic makeup is, you know. I'm not going to get into the transgender conversation because I don't want to fucking start stirring the pot on that. So I'm just not even going to bring that topic up. I'm talking about people that consider themselves a full-on woman and people that consider themselves a full-on man. I'm not talking about, the things in between. So basically, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop this now. This is an hour. Okay. Hour and 6 minutes. There we go. Episode 3. Fatherly Freedom, and I guess the Fatherly Freedom Incorporated website's www.fatherlyfreedom.com. Although the site needs some updating, it was down for a while when I got hit with that malware. So check it out. It's a 501c4, and I desperately, in fact, I'm gonna start writing some letters out. I think Elon. So me and Elon, I fucking love Elon Musk. I'm sorry, like I'm a fan of Elon Musk. I'm not a big fan of like famous people. I don't care, but I love the way his. I think if him and I sat down and have a conversation, it'd be epic because I have the same conditions he does, and it's funny because he's so direct and he's blunt. He's a blurter, right? And I could be judging this wrong, but if you watch his interviews, you'll see how he kind of hesitates. He thinks, like he'll stutter a little bit, and he stops and thinks for a minute. And I had this issue when I was a kid, and I wonder if this is the reason why he does that, is that because he's a blurter, he says whatever comes to mind, and I do too. And judges don't know how to take that in court, so I have to explain that usually. I explain that to the DA so she can better understand how I respond. But if you watch his interviews, you'll see him hesitate or stutter, and it's an insecurity. What it is because he's afraid that I wouldn't necessarily say he's afraid, but he thinks about what he has to say because all throughout his life he's been a blurter and he's been ridiculed for it. And so if you watch, he kind of like he'll stutter a little bit when he says things because he's shy. Like when I say shy, I mean he doesn't want to say something that he's going to get ridiculed for. And then for me, though, it's a little bit different for me because I was like that, kind of like he was, until I started bartending. Then I found when you're a bartender, they love that shit. They love it when you say fucking rude or whatever comes to mind, and that gets more customers. You get bigger tips that way when you engage in banter with people that go in there. And so people would come in and engage with me because I was so quick-witted. I would always come back with a response instantly. And so that basically explains my personality a little bit. So if you're listening to some of my podcasts, you're like, oh, did you just fucking say that? That's why. It's not necessarily. I mean, there's some shock factor in it. Obviously, it brings in attention when you're shocking people, but that's not the intent. The intent isn't necessarily to be shock factor, but it does help when you're trying to say something you want people to pay attention. You'll say something like, what? Oh, now I got to hear this. Now I got to hear this train wreck. You know? So anyways, that's where I stand. And yeah, I hope you guys are listening. And hit me up. I mean, if you have an issue, okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I need from you guys. Tuolumne County. I've already had I've had 2 mothers reach out to me with same issues. I'm requesting, if you're in Tuolumne County and you had an issue where your child was taken away and it was unlawful and it was totally like they threatened you, or anything that you feel was unlawful or violation of your rights, please hit me up and give me a statement of what happened. If you could give me the case number, that'd be great. So when we do this remonstrance, we're gonna have a shit ton of statements, or basically some O30s, declarations, that are gonna go up to United States Congress. So what we're gonna do is, at this point, it's systematic. It's systematic that they're just obliterating constitutional law, and they're not allowed to do that. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna compile really, like the last remonstrance that was shut down, it only took it was 5 or 6 statements from witnesses. So I know there's more than that. I know more than that. I've been talking to other parents that have been dealing with that more than that. This is about our children. This is about keeping our children healthy, mentally, and stable with both parents in the environment. And if the mother, like in my situation, I don't even want Carter around his mother at this point. She's so fucking toxic. What she's doing to him is hideous, is so disgusting. And she doesn't even realize it. And she's going around fucking trying to justify her disgusting behavior to other people. And they're coming, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, if you only knew half the shit. Like, if you want to, so here's the deal. If you have some kind of fucking inclination of something you heard about me, come talk to me. I'll be nice to you. I'll fucking show you a shit ton of paperwork with evidence from her signed under declaration of perjury, penalty of perjury, and then I will show you the real evidence that shows that she completely went in there and blatantly lied in a court of law, or excuse me, in a court of equity. And so if you want to see it, you want to see who's really fucking crazy, I'll show you what a covert narcissist is. I will show you details of it. And now, because I can show it over the last year, the covert narcissism and borderline personality disorder from Julie, now I can prove it. The behaviors, they match. That makes that DVRO back in July 7th of me saying that I was saying that she exhibits the symptoms. That makes that a protected speech, as I said before, because I didn't say it out of harassing manner. I didn't say it to talk down on her. I said it as an awareness, because it's a problem. And as a parent, having those kind of behaviors, those disorders, those mental disorders, is a problem on how you raise your child. And it started to reflect on her daughter when I was her stepdad. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And we're hour 12. I know, I ramble. So anyways, I'm going to upload this to YouTube. This is episode 3, Fatherly Freedom Podcast. Share it, send it out. If you have a story or a case, it could be a small statement, doesn't have to be big, and send it to me, and I'll correct the grammar for you, and we'll make it a little bit more presentable. I won't change your statement, just make it a little more presentable, and then I'll send it back to you, and you can review it, and if you're good with it, we'll add it, and we will send it up. It'll just be a little bit easier to read. I know some people probably have some bad grammar. I know I don't have the best grammar, but some people have some bad grammar, and it just makes it easier for people that read these kind of things on a consistent basis to have it match that style. So it's easier for them to understand. So send it my way. And again, I don't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I do have a nonprofit that is attempting to support pro se parents that are fighting in court. We may end up moving into providing ADA assistance for vets. That's something I kind of want to do. Those are my two things that are important to me, is children and veterans. Veterans are very important to me. I feel that they should be treated with the utmost respect and catered to, especially ones that have gone through mental trauma or physical trauma. We may end up trying to provide, which we can legally. I know I looked it up, providing ADA services for court situations where they want to represent pro se. We can help, not necessarily help prepare the documents, but we can help them understand the documents and keep their stress loads at a minimal because we don't want to trigger that PTSD. So, anyways, hit us up and we'll talk. We'll figure it out later.